being an African, done all my life, grew up here, went to school in Nigeria and everything. As I grew up, I realized that one of the challenges we have on the continent is the fact that though we've been able to do great things as individuals, collectively, we haven't been able to master shared prosperity. And why? Because the opportunities that are available to a few are actually not available to the majority. The foundation has been something that's been on my mind since I was in university, sometimes in early 2000. I read a book, The Autobiography of Andrew Carnegie and The Gospel of Wealth. And in a couple of my friends at that time had enjoyed the Carnegie Scholarship. And when I researched and read a lot more about Carnegie, I saw that it was quite intentional around giving back to the society. Sometimes I think about it. If I was not born to my parents, I'll probably not be privileged to do what I'm doing today. By just basically winning the lottery of who my parents were, my future was basically determined. And I keep asking myself, what about 1,000 millions of people who are not as lucky as I am? How can we give these people the same privilege that I have? How can we bring people that are not necessarily privileged to have had parents who said, okay, I'm going to do everything possible to send this child to school? How can we work with other parents? How can we inspire the next generation? Basically, how can we democratize what I would have counted just as a privilege?
The SIA Foundation is actually inspired by a strong conviction, a strong belief that we're placed on this earth not just for ourselves. We're placed on this earth not just to be concerned about ourselves, to do what we want to do, but to reach out to other people and to help people live better lives, to help people become, what they were created to be. Being that we ourselves have received help and we're still receiving help, we understand that our lives are a combination of the different contributions that other people have so willingly and graciously poured out into us. So we believe that we should also do that, for other people.
I understand something around the marginal utility of wealth. The marginal utility of wealth says that when you have the first 1 naira, it makes a world of difference. When you have the 1,000th 1 naira, the impact is diminishing. So there's diminishing utility of wealth. But diminishing utility of wealth for you is not diminishing utility of wealth for the community. There is someone there who that 1 naira, that is a 1,000 or your 1 billionth 1 naira, makes no difference to you in the world. That is the person's miracle. That is what gives the person a move into greatness. Like I tell people, if you have a car and you have your second or you have your third car, there's not so much you can get from the fourth car, possibly. But imagine that fourth car of yours when you give it to somebody who has never dreamt of a car. The joy, there's this, it gives that person, it moves the person to another level that no matter what, your fourth car could never have given to you. For me, that's the concept behind the foundation, to say, this is not going to make me so happy anyway, but there's someone out there that this is going to change their story.
We're very passionate about education, especially educating children. Children that are less privileged, children that for some reason or the other can't have access to education, and not just education itself, but quality education. Because we believe that by educating just one child, you improve the quality of life of that child, the quality of decisions that the child gets to make, as an adult. And even not just that child alone, but you even impact generations. Because that child becomes a father, a mother, that raises another generation. So you're not just impacting one life, you're impacting a generation. You can have the next Einstein, begging on the streets right now with all the brilliance and all of that in the person's mind. But because that child doesn't have the exposure that education brings, just basically wastes away. So at SIA, we're very passionate about that.
Entrepreneurial development is the part I find most connected to emotionally in our objective as a foundation. And the reason is because when you look at Africa today, what is missing is value creation, significant value creation. Value creation will lead to job, will lead to people being able to earn decent income, will lead to people being able to afford better lives. I believe that the more we can get our entrepreneurs to rise up, we can create an enabling environment for entrepreneurs. We can teach them how to create value, how to transform our local goods, our local commodities into what is needed globally. The more we can export to the world, the more we can create value to Africa. No matter what, we can't just continue to just buy and sell in Africa. We must create value so that other parts of the world can trade with us.
The other thing I want to mention is women empowerment. A woman is, permit me to say, the pillar of the society. You know, the family is the smallest unit of the society, and we all know the role that the woman plays, you know, in the family. You know, an empowered woman is a woman that can empower her children, you know, give her children a better life. So we're really focused on empowering women financially, empowering them mentally, you know, just empowering women in a way that they can arise and come up to the true fullness of who a woman is meant to be.
Today, the amount of income a lady still earns for the same services most male would do is still questionable. So we believe that as a foundation, there needs to be a lot of focus on the women fold.
I'm trained as a medical doctor, you know, by God's grace. I got to see a lot during my training, while training to be a doctor, that really impacted on, you know, this my belief and this desire, you know, to help women and children. You know, I remember during one of my postings in medical school, it's a posting where we take care of children. You know, I remember this child needing urgent medical attention. So we spoke to the mother, you know, about how urgently her child needed care. And she's like, oh, I want to wait for my husband. I want to wait for the father of the child. And we explained to her that this is not a matter of wait for somebody. You are the mother of this child. I mean, you brought this child to the hospital. You can take that decision. You know, on probing further, we found out that it's because she didn't have money, you know, and she felt like, okay, the financial responsibility of what we needed to do, she didn't have the means, you know, to pay. You know, eventually we all had to like put funds together, you know, to just help her and support her. And that happened several times where I trained, you know, and you see people dying, not because of the illness, but because of poverty. We all had to put our funds together. And of course, the child made it in the end, which was satisfactory to us, but it was just so touching to me that the woman would say she had to wait, you know, for her husband before she could, you know, get the means to take care of the child. And it was heartbreaking even for her with the tears and everything, but there was just basically nothing she could do because she wasn't, you know, financially empowered.
Think about it. We've all gone through things that other parts of the world may look like, oh, how did you survive that? No lights, sound of generators. Living in Africa on its own is hard, such that you get to that point where it's every man for himself, God for us all, because I'm still trying to sort myself. So with all of these experiences every day, you get to a point as an African where you are just like, your heart is just hardened. That's consciousness of empathy of the other person. How do I help my neighbor? How do I help people succeed? And there's also competition. It's like there are limited opportunities for everybody. Like that's basically, it's ingrained in our heads. It's not enough for all of us, so to say. I believe that those are part of the things that we need to begin to unwind, which is actually in our mindsets. And that's why I believe that creating opportunities for us such that the majority can see there's enough opportunity for all of us to do great things is very, very important.
It's very important for us as humans to understand that we're not on the earth just for ourselves. I mean, the world as a whole functions better when people come together to do things. Like the adage says, no man is an island. Even if you look into your own life as an individual, you will realize that your life is a culmination of the different sacrifices, the different inputs, the different things that people have done for you to help you.
What is lacking today in Africa is shared prosperity. And I can tell you, once you have been able to achieve some basic comforts, you must make it a point of duty to say, how can I lift my neighbor out of poverty? Because when you do that, you are not just lifting your neighbor, you are actually helping yourself and building a better tomorrow for everyone. So come on board. Is it your time, your financial resources as advisors to help small businesses, help us coach people who need this, help us just be our partner. Whatever you can contribute, please bring it on board.